Welcome along to the good, the bad and the rugby. We are in Brisbane, everybody. We've got amazing Lions fans around us.
They don't look great, but they are absolutely in full volume.
Would you give a very warm welcome to the great Jeremy Paul, ladies and gentlemen?
Look at the difference between him and Tins. Tins looks like cauliflower with a face.
I believe George Smith's one of the greatest players I ever played with for the Wallabies. George turned around and said, "Mate, I'm going to give up the piss." And Beavers said, "No, mate. I want you to keep drinking. I'm just going to flog the shit out of you."
Can I just ask you about Sua'ali'i? How much cut through does he get?
They had to change the rules in rugby league for him to play at 17. They changed the age. Tom Liner, wow, what a story. The very first father-son combination to ever play for the Wallabies against the Lions. Yeah.
What happens on Saturday?
I think this is Australia's best shot.
Australia will be focusing on that second test. That'll be the one.
I think if Australia can come out and we can hold parity for the first 20 minutes, we're a chance.
Into the final moments, Alex Payne trying to keep this side going forward. Haskell takes it on now with just relentless chat, largely about himself. And there's Tindall to add the finishing touch of glamour and World Cup winning stories. That is how you podcast.
Hello, Dream Team. Welcome along to the good, the bad and the rugby. We are in Brisbane, everybody. We've got amazing Lions fans around us. Our first live event of our tour down in Australia, and as always, we are proudly sponsored by our very good friends at Continental Tyres, the official tyre partner of England Rugby. Whether on the rugby field or on the road, you can trust Continental Tyres for exceptional safety, performance and grip. But ladies and gents, get your popcorn ready because we've got the teams announced. Suncorp Stadium awaits. We've got Hask and Tins in the building. We have a little cheer for Hask and Tins, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Welcome to both of you.
It's a great crowd because they don't look great, but they are absolutely in full volume.
That's what the
well
Lions
done,
do.
well
They
done.
know their
Never
role,
judge a
they
book
know
by its
their
cover.
role.
You lot are
Wonderful.
great.
Good. We're going to get an even bigger cheer for our special guest who stepped into the Lions' Den. We're sort of touring the Lions' Den around here, but it is another World Cup winner, which makes Tins feel very comfortable, actually, because normally he has to deal with the two of us. Finally. Gold can talk to gold.
For so long.
Would you give a very warm welcome to the great Jeremy Paul, ladies and gentlemen? How are you?
Man, I'm fabulous. Don't see a lot of gold out there, unfortunately.
No, your audience.
Just give me a bit
Know
of,
your audience.
actually, some bad memories from 01.
Because you obviously played. We drove past the Gabba on the way down here, which was O'Driscoll, it was Scott Quinnell, it was Davith James and Jason Robinson. You obviously won the series, but you had an awful day at the Gabba, didn't you?
I did. We don't usually play, we've never played at the Gabba, because it's a AFL ground here in Australia. Australian rules is played on a very, very big oval. And so when you play like rugby in a ground that is also used for cricket as well, there's a pitch right in the middle, and unfortunately got my leg stuck. Martin Johnson illegally ripped my head off. And I actually made a YouTube clip, like back in 01, right? Or not YouTube then, but where my head was turned the opposite way and my body was still facing that way, and I snapped my ACL. So unfortunately, the whole test match was blamed on me for losing, and they didn't have to drop me. I just went for an ACL.
off.
But how good does he look now? He literally looked at me walk in and he was like, "Mate, what's
You're
wrong with you,
horrible."
mate? You're horrible, mate." And I was like, and he doesn't look a day over 35.
Considering he's got 6 children, he's
That's what I mean.
firing out sprogs left,
Yeah.
right, and centre.
Yeah.
And
What is
Two
the
more.
secret? Is it oil of Ulay twice a day?
Oh, look, my wife's, when we won the World Cup in '99, she just turned
There it is.
9
There
that
it is.
year.
Stop the clock, everyone. Stop the clock.
Still got it. But look, I just think it's living on the coast, Australia. Like this is a great summer's day in England, but this is winter in Australia. So we're blessed. Like we got such an incredible country, and we love being outside. Like, it's brilliant.
Let's be honest, he doesn't come across as a man who wears stress, does he? He's like,
Yeah.
hey, how good
I
is
wouldn't.
it?
Mate, never stressed about anything. Like never stressed about footy. Never stressed about life. Like,
look at the difference between him and Tins. Tins looks like cauliflower with a face, and he's like unbelievable,
Don't
lids
laugh at
tight.
his joke.
Yeah, I love it.
he's batting though.
Oh my God, yeah. I
he's-
mean, he
he's
doesn't. He
moving
can do
up
what he
the
wants.
world.
His retirement plan's absolutely sorted. He's on the Royal balcony waving to flyovers. He's living the absolute dream. Honestly, it doesn't matter what he looks like anymore. He's locked in so deep.
Locked in.
He's like, we've told it
So
before.
deep.
He's so deep, mate. He's like the Royal Cuckoo. He's had all of them out. He's front and centre. He's like noogieing Louis. He's there high-fiving Charles. He's fully in the mix, mate. It doesn't matter. I got nothing. I'm just broken, really.
Very true.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. Enjoy my God. It's really interesting though that you say that you like life is good and life is easy because you had 8 years. We were talking backstage. 8 years under Eddie Jones, and you two were trading notes on the Beaver. I mean, obviously, it's going to get very spicy on Saturday. It's going to be Australia Lions. That sells itself, but it's sort of missing a little bit of the salt that Eddie brought wherever he went. Joe's been very considered. Andy Farrell is a gentleman in a coaching box.
He's very good at that, wasn't he? I had good Eddie. Like, I had good Beaver. Like, he was from 98 to 2005, or 97, actually. And we went on a development tour to the UK. And we played 8 games in 4 weeks under Eddie Jones. He said, look, this is going to be an old school tour. Everyone's going to, drink, 2 nights before the game. We're all kids. I was 20 years old. Out of that tour in 97, 13 Wallabies came from that tour. Really? Yeah. And that was the start of that Brumbies generation of that young meeting old at the right time. So we just all came there at the right time. But look, the one thing for me with Beaver was you always trained like the coach was watching. Like with Eddie you were that petrified of Beaver. Like you'd have 3 alarms set, right? This is before your phone, like no alarms and shit. Like you wouldn't sleep, like you were petrified of him because you didn't want him to be disappointed in you. Like you come off the field, and all you wanted was from him to nod. But he was brilliant, like back in those days, because this is before social media and camera phones, right? Like very quickly, got this story with George Smith, right? I believe George Smith's one of the greatest players I ever played with for the Wallabies. Yeah. Now, with Eddie, if you had a midweeker, if you had a drink during the week, you always made sure you caught the fire escape, or you never caught the lifts between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. because you just never knew when Eddie Jones was going to come down. And so I remember we came back in Coffs Harbour, there's 3 old blokes and George Smith. And we were going up the fire escape and George Smith stumbled over to the lift and we're like, no, and he was like, lo and behold, 4:15 in the morning, Beavers in the lift. And so what Eddie Jones did really, really well was he'd make his stew on it for 2 or 3 days. And then we were at training, we're watching, and then we saw Eddie walk over to Jorge, his nickname, Spanish for George. And we saw him, and he was only 20 years old at this time. And he walked up to him and he goes, mate, you got 2 options. You either give up the piss or I just flog the shit out of you. And obviously, George turned around and said, mate, I'm going to give up the piss. And Beaver said, no, mate. I want you to keep drinking. I'm just going to flog the shit out of you. And he did. Like, he flogged it. But he puts that extra training down to building his work ethic to what made him the player he is today. So, yeah, he's pretty special, Eddie Jones.
Should we have a round of applause? Not only for Eddie, but George Smith as well, one of the greats.
What a player.
And obviously featured 12 years ago as well, didn't he? Came back for that third test. Were you going to add to that or not? No.
No.
Oh, I thought you moved your mic to it. Can I ask you just very quickly, because it's very nice to have you on the mothership, GBR.
Mate, awesome.
How much you enjoy GBRANZ with Justin Marshall and Andy Rowe? It's been unbelievable. You've had some incredible guests.
I mean, recently Marshy's been firing out some absolute crackers. Yeah. Most hated man in New Zealand, pretty much.
Yes.
Had a face-off with Gail Fiku, and fact they just slammed Franz.
Yep.
Do you get dragged into the
always?
frying pan?
Oh, mate, always. But I'm happy to back Marshy because he's incredibly intelligent and he's a winner.
Yeah.
Mate, he won 7 Super Rugby titles. Like, let's stop it. Like, his pedigree of the player, look, he didn't win a World Cup. But, they always fainted. They always fainted, man. Like, it was so funny. And he did lose 5 Bledisloes. But in terms of experience and as a player, also just knowledge, man, it's brilliant. And Andy Rowe, man, he's such a good guy because you need an admin person to
I know the pain.
Yes.
I know the pain. Yeah,
great.
Certainly do.
And your plan almost came together with James O'Connor. We got James O'Connor.
What about that?
Have you heard from him this week?
Yeah. So, look, Andy and I, we spoke about it last year because he just signed for the Crusaders, and we're like, look, I'll reach out to Rabs because I've known Rabs since he was a young kid. Said, look, get him on the show as a guest, and then Andy turned around and said, do you reckon he would want to be like one of the people on the couch? And I said, let's ask him. Imagine if he makes the Wallabies too. Like, we could have a live player in the show whilst in the Wallabies. And to be honest, I can't believe he hasn't been picked. But we'll dive into that a little bit later. But it's been an incredible journey to follow him through this, and because he's done it for the right. It actually, I think, it cost him money to play in Christchurch this year.
Really?
Yeah. He took the most minimum of minimum payments. And so, like, I don't think it included like board, like, you know, accommodation, all that sort of stuff. So, and I'm sure like all his investments and stuff was, you know, probably like from a financial remuneration, definitely took a pay cut, massive.
But he got the medal, Super Rugby medal.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, you weigh it up. At the end of the day, you go, well, even when he didn't make the Wallabies, like, so when he did do his first sesh though, and he got smacked in the face, like, did you see that?
Yeah.
Like, he got like 6. Mate, I did like 11 years at the top and came out with a face like this. Like, it's like not the money maker. Like, you're like always ducking and diving. Only got 1 split,
Is that right?
4 stitches.
God.
Nothing like this face.
How many do you have?
I've lost count, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Mate, when you play sort of with Jeremy Guscott, and you know you've got to make a lot of tackles. You know, it's hard. It's hard. And me and Phil de Glanville, look at the state of both our faces. That's why.
Jerry looks good though, so he'll thank
Jerry
you
looks
for that.
great.
He'll
Well
look
done,
good for
Jerry.
that.
Thanks.
I tell you what, we're going to get into everything, but what we do want to do is just start with a massive thank you to Harvey Norman, who have hosted us here at the McGregor store in Brisbane. They're an Aussie-based global retail giant. You will find them across the UK and Ireland if you're watching on back home. And they've just opened their latest superstore in Merry Hill, which is just outside Birmingham. If you're in the area, pay it a visit.
Yeah, and as you can see, they've kitted us out with a great pop-up studio today, so we're feeling right at home.
We're actually running today's show with Harvey Norman's Next Gen AI PCs, and I can already see it's tearing up producer Tom's running order. So that's
It's actually doing producer Tom's job.
Yeah, well, we
Say goodbye to producer Tom.
I mean, just the food bill alone of getting rid of producer Tom
We'll break
you could probably
even.
get another guest.
Right, perfect. On that note, Harvey Norman, though, are your destination for next-gen AI laptops with multi-day battery life, enhanced device security, and the inbuilt AI, which allows for a personalised user experience. So head online or to your local store today. It is well worth checking out. We've actually just had a guided tour. I'm slightly frightened by some of the tech, but if you're slightly ahead of the game, certainly relative to me, well worth having a look at and getting involved with. What we're going to do, though, is move on to what is to come over the next, 2 weeks or so, 3 Saturdays for sure. How big a 3 Saturdays is this for Australian rugby when you look at what the last 18 months, possibly 4 or 5 years, have consisted of?
Oh, it's everything for us financially, right? Like, you can't do anything in this game anymore without money. Like, we've been broke for a number of years now. Like, we've been struggling on the breadline. I think we lost. I think there was an official loss of just over $60 million last year. But this Lions tour is going to then put us, they've estimated it to put us $30 million in the black. So, yeah, massive turnaround financially, because we can't invest into grassroots, you can't invest into the women's game, you just can't invest anything into any type of development unless you have money. And so this tour, and particularly like 12 months ago, you know, you had a lot of top pundits over in England saying, like, this is a joke, the Lions are going to go there and thrash them. We then win at England, like Joseph Akuso, Sua'ali'i, like arguably, I think he's going to be the GOAT. But anyway, it just changed everything, right? Yeah. Like, so much focus came now on this British and Irish Lions tour that the Wallabies were a chance. Like, the massive turnaround in 12 months of what Joe Smith has done, like on the field, you can see that now starting to have nice little ripple effects off it.
Can I just ask you about Sua'ali'i? How much cut-through does he get as a Wallaby? And are people interested in how he's tracking? Is he bringing the wider sporting public in behind the Wallabies?
Oh, yeah, incredible.
Really?
Incredible. Like, his 1.4, nothing's ever been confirmed, but 1.6 million, mate, every cent worth it. Like, just from the marketing angle, just from the publicity. Put it this way, dealing with the pay TV rights 12 months ago, before Joseph Sua'ali'i was involved, we were looking at a 30% reduction, like in terms of money and in terms of coverage. They renegotiated this year, we got a 30% increase. So, wow. Mate, here's just him, like, and James O'Connor, actually, like one of the most spoken about rugby union players in New Zealand / Australia. But look, we love a convert. We love an underdog. Everyone, like particularly with rugby league, they're just so good at how they've developed the game over the last 15 years. They've been incredible with their development in schools, with their competitions, the women's game, the NRLW, easily the best women's competition in terms of collision sports. And And so to be able to take him back from rugby league, they put it this way, they had to change the rules in rugby league for him to play at 17.
Really?
They changed the age for him to play. Wow. So, mate, this kid's always been earmarked, and I think that the true test here is he started State of Origin at 21 years of age. Like 21, mate. Like everyone tends to forget he's still only 21 years old. Like I think if he continues
He's also
on,
got one of the best tackles in.
Oh, my
State
God.
of Origin
8-minute
history.
red card,
The flying
wasn't
no
mate,
armour.
take his head off. Well, that would have been play on, right? 10 years earlier, but.
I was just screaming at him, bring back the biff.
Mate, they used to come on with smelling salts, right? Are you alive? Yeah, I'm alive. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I'm good to go. But look, he's also so marketable, right? Like he's a gorgeous-looking young human. He doesn't drink. He's like would never get into trouble. Like he's just that marketable. But also too, have you seen how physical he is? Yeah. He tries to bash everyone, doesn't he? Like, and I think that was always the big thing of the league players coming over. Actually, I had this other league player come over called Peter Ryan.
Yeah.
He was this mad enforcer for the Queensland Maroons. And he played his first game against the Waikato Chiefs, this guy called Isi Tolamaka, who was 130 kgs right off the back. And Rhino's on the side, very first game, screaming, I got him. Ran at him. He was a speed bump. Like, he literally got spat out the back because he just had never played against someone so big. And he got bashed. And he even turned around and said, man, I completely underestimated the size of rugby union players. So, yeah, look, I think... But I look at Joseph Sua'ali'i and I just go, wow. I just think where he can get to in 2 to 4 years, I think he can be one of the greatest of all time.
Wow. Interesting where he gets to in 2 to 3 days, given that we've got quite a big one coming up. Just before we get into the teams, we'll go through those. Can I just verify the fact that a few weeks ago you said on GBRANZ the Wallabies would win 3-0? I just want to make that. I just want you to back that up and
just how do you feel about the audience?
Re-establish that now. Just confirm that is what you said.
I never said that. I said I was.
What did you say?
I said I was incredibly excited about the depth in Australian rugby. Because we hadn't seen for over a decade. I hadn't seen for over a decade where we were getting 3 to 4 players deep in positions, mate. I was that excited when I was talking to the boys, and they've all just turned around and said 3-0, and I was like, "Yeah, run with it. I don't care, man. Yeah, I'm happy to go for it."
So you didn't say it. We did say it.
No, I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Well,
I said 2-1.
Sure? I thought I saw a clip where you did.
I thought we saw a clip.
If Hask's seen a clip, lots of people. He sees very little.
But I don't know if any of you guys listen to it, but it's a fantastic show. I think you're utterly brilliant. I saw James O'Connor today at the Wallabies Hotel. I was doing something for Land Rover. He looked great, and I said we were doing a podcast the other day, and I've got to apologise because I went to say your name and I got it wrong, and I ended up saying Henry Paul, Pope John Paul, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Paul Daniels, Logan Paul, Paul Hogan. So I apologise.
No, mate.
You know what I meant.
I mean, Henry Paul and Jeremy Paul are very similar. Well, off the field anyway.
Off the field.
I mean, HP's nickname was Sauce, and you do like the sauce. So, I think it probably worked.
But I saw, and I just thought, what's really interesting about James O'Connor again is when I started doing Good Bad Rugby, I was very much an acquired taste. People would come up to me, fans would go, oh, I thought you were a bit of a muppet, but now I've met you or seen you on the podcast, you've changed my opinion. Definitely a muppet. I mean, I'm a worse word than that, but it's a family-friendly show, so I won't say what I am. But I saw James O'Connor today, and actually I reiterated what Tins said. I just think the way he looks at the game, it's really interesting. You see that he's been through a journey himself. He's had his ups and downs, had his off-field stuff, but he's got an incredible rugby brain. He was one of the most talented players I've ever seen in my entire life. I played against Australian Barbarians in 2010 maybe, or something like that, and he'd just come on the scene. He was 17 or something like that, scored 3 tries in a half of rugby, and then got taken off and then started a Wallabies test. He was like kicking goals for fun, and so he was a bit of a poster child. But to see how he's done it, I think it's really exciting for that. And I think rugby needs those characters, and I think they love a bit of romance. Someone who's gone from almost the wrong side of the tracks, been a bit broken, a bit lost, a bit controversial, and he's come back and he's he deserves everything he gets.
Do you want to quickly take us through the Australia team then? Do you want to go through the 1 to 23 and then Hask, you can do the lines off the back? Have you got it there, Jeremy?
Look, I remember it's right. It's so James Slipper, look, 150. Wow.
It's incredible.
Isn't it nuts? Like, and you're talking about a prop too. Yeah. Like you're not talking about like a back rower or inside centre.
I walk like I played 130.
Remarkable look, and I think that in itself, right? So, Slipper, you got Matt Fessler, because I believe Dave Parecki actually re-injured himself in the Fijian game. Look, I very quickly, Wallaby management actually very special. We got to write personalised letters to the players that were chosen. Yeah, so I got to write a letter to Matt Fessler, Billy Pollard, and Dave Parecki, which was a really nice touch. So I don't know who the other players.
Can you share what you said?
So
Beyond good luck.
Oh, so
enjoy.
So it was basically a standardised letter, and then there was your lines experience, and so like I sort of said, look, it's the same for all three in terms.
Don't
of,
snap your ACL.
Yeah. Oh, look,
Inspirational.
Pretty much, yeah. Don't get injured. But look, all I remember is the sea of red jerseys, the media because don't forget we didn't have social media in 2001. So all the media from around the world. But then there was a lot of the pressure from losing in 1989 as well, like that famous Campo and Mato try. Like it was just being played over and over. And so there was huge amounts of pressure. Current World Cup, obviously current World Cup champions. But all I remember is John Eel saying these words was like, all you got to do is do your job. Like you don't need to be Superman. Just do your job and the result will take care of itself. And so that always stuck with me throughout my whole career. And then personally, I sort of said something to like Billy Pollard, who's a Brumbies boy, just said to him like, proud to be Australian with the Brumbies on my chest. Like that's the team song with the Brumbies. Like I've watched this kid come through, so proud of that young guy, like to get there, and just said, mate, you get the experience, rip in, like that's, and just do your job. Like if collectively, if we're like the Queensland Maroons, where they would played the perfect game. They made one mistake in 69 and a half minutes. Like, that's what Australia needs to be for this first test, obviously. But I sort of look at this side, so sorry. We've got Matt Fessler at 2, we've got Alan Alatoa. First guy I'd ever pick in a team, either be 3 or 18. His leadership, but unfortunately he's never transferred his scrummaging from Super Rugby to Test level. Like he unfortunately had a debacle against the world champions at Suncorp last year, 6 scrum penalties. Yeah. So I'm hoping that he'll transition that through. Jeremy Williams, Nick Frost in the second row. Look, stuck with these 2 guys. Jeremy Williams, I thought, was lucky with Will Skilton.
Are you surprised Skelton hasn't been picked?
Look, he's such a big body, man. He's 142 kegs, right? Like look, if you're going to muscle up and be physical, you want Will in your team, particularly from that line-out maul and that scrummaging, because set piece, right? But these 2 are very athletic. 2 guys like Jeremy Williams made his Test debut last year, mate. Like so, for him to be playing again, get a start. Obviously, Bob Valentini, Australia's best player for easily the last 3 years, injured. Langy Gleeson injured. So we brought in that champion.
Hopefully he is a champion, right?
Well, look, he didn't hit my radar this year. I would have gone with Tom Hooper at 6 because I thought he was Brumbies. Because Joe Smith also drew a line in the sand, right, at the start of the year where he sent Langy Gleeson home and said, if you've signed to go overseas, I'm not picking you for the Lions. And Langy Gleeson's attitude was, well, I'm just going to play so well, you have to pick me. Like, I love that. That attitude, man. Tom Hooper, same thing. Like, I didn't think Noah Lalicio would get picked either because of the same thing. They'd all signed to go overseas. But if you play well enough, you get picked. Anyway, so he's gone. I actually really like the son of Michael Bryle, guy I played with the Wallabies, Joe Bryle. Like, he's big, young kid, man. I really thought he should be making his Test debut. Sorry. Fraser McWright, I think he's the world's best 7. Maybe Artie Severe now will be testing. He's the guy that needs to be man of the series. Harry Wilson, captain. Thought Harry was excellent last year. Stood up. Just a big body, right? Big ball runner. You need, when static ball, when it's static and that line's really hard press defence, their line speed has been outstanding this year. Jake Gordon, love Jake Gordon at 9, but I would have thought I've been dying for Tate McDermott to get a start, man. I want a running 9. Running 9, like, God. Anyway, Tom Liner, wow, what a story. Like, wow. Would have thought Jock. Thought James O'Connor. Picked the inside centre, Leonard Kittel, and Joseph Akuso Sua'ali'i at 13. I think that's his best position. Obviously, Harry Potter. Max Jorgensen's an interesting choice. Like,
England fans know him.
Well, yeah.
Heartbreak.
But he came off the bench. I thought guys like Dylan Peach. I thought Dungunu.
Peach was amazing.
Wasn't he against the Force? Look, you just want wingers that get involved, right? Like, and look, Jorgo's got a big career ahead of him. He's still only a young kid, but I just thought there were other wingers, particularly Dungunu, who gets hard on the ball. Tom Wright, I think he's going to be one of the players of the series. Like, if he can just back himself and make the right decisions on when to go. Billy Pollard, reserve.
If he can learn to pass the ball backwards, he should be banned from end-over-end passes.
He's just got a bit of indecision at the moment. But what Joseph Sua'ali'i does incredibly well is he works really hard to get back.
Yeah.
Like you see this with the good outside centres. They work incredibly hard to get back to create that opportunity.
We do, yeah.
Obviously, the two props, like Tom Roberts. My God, I reached out to Robbo, because he came back from after doing Oxford, got his postmaster's degree, and didn't think he'd play again. Played for the Force, scored one of the best tight head prop tries, 50-metre try. I reached out to him via social and said, mate, well done, great season, what a try. And he said, mate, that is the highlight of my entire life, better than my kids being born. And I said, mate, I agree, I 100% agree. You ran 50 metres as a tight head prop. So, for him to get, obviously Angus Bell, I think he's world class. I'm surprised Slipper got a start. Then having Tom Hooper on the bench because he can cover back row and second row, like Carlo Tizzano, couldn't leave him out simply because of his try scoring ability. Interesting with Tate McDermott, like I said, I thought he might have got a start. This is the problem for me with having Ben Donaldson and Andrew Callaway on the bench. There's no 12 cover, no 12. I would have thought James O'Connor slipping in instead of Ben Donaldson. Then you could have Callaway outside backs, James O'Connor. So.
I think that's about the most accurate, informative, and detailed 4 minutes we've ever had on GBR.
Yeah.
I think we'll have a round of applause for the incredible breakdown.
I'm exhausted.
Can I come and work on GBRANZ? Because that was
I'm
incredible.
exhausted.
And now, ladies and gents, to take you through the Lions 23.
Not sure I'll
James
follow
Haskell.
that. I don't know any of these players.
Just do the names, James.
Oh, don't do the names.
Next
I don't need
bit
to do
of
it. Yeah,
detail.
no. Obviously, Ellis Genge gets his first start. He's a friend of the show. Brilliant. He's been absolutely outstanding. If you can bring the ball carrying, that's fine. Dan Sheehan, obviously, after Luke Kandicki was injured, I think he was going to get pole position anyway. Tag Furlong, I was surprised. I thought maybe Finley Beaning would get maybe a call or a Will Stewart potentially, but he's been a world-class player. I don't think he's necessarily showed it on this tour quite yet, but he's still doing well. Maratoji, obviously, Joe McCarthy, big enforcer. Ty Byrne, absolutely incredible player. Surprised, he got the call. I think he doesn't want to be a six. He didn't play particularly well when he played six, but he played very well in the last game as a second row cover as well. So we'll see how he goes. Tom Curry, again, unbelievable player. His capacity to play at test level is very high. I thought Jack Morgan's been absolutely outstanding. For me, he's been the player that stood out above everyone else. His ball carrying, his tackling, his breakdown. Conan, obviously at 8. I think safe pair of hands, started all the tests in 2021. I mean, that back row itself, they've got the experience, they've got the pedigree. I would say, if it doesn't go well this week, you're not going to see one of them again. I think that's what happens. We saw Peter O'Mahony in the first game. He captained the Lions, was binned, was left up with me and Rory Best in the midweek veg, which, what a depressing thing. You've been dropped.
That's the biggest fall you can ever have, can't you? Captain the Lions, then hanging out with Hask.
But we had
a shed.
We had, I don't know if I told the story on the podcast. I think we talked about one of them. We kind of had Peter O'Mahony, obviously got dropped, and Rob Howley turned up with a 100 megabyte hard drive or gigabyte hard drive of mistakes that George Cruz has made after the first test. And after about an hour of just playing these clips, Warren Gatlin just put his hand on him and said, "That's enough, Rob." And then George Cruz then made a point that Rob Howley had already made 20 minutes earlier, and Rob went mental. You're not even listening. You're not even listening. Thought he was adding real value. We went left there, and Gats basically then said to Roy, listen, you need to take the boys out. You need to pick these guys up. It's really important, the midweek team, because if the midweek team go off the boil or are distracting or don't play or don't turn up and train, all the wheels fall off. So we went to an Italian restaurant. We sorted this very expensive Italian restaurant out. We ended up in a shed in the back of the Italian restaurant. It was meant to be like a gazebo, but it was just a wooden garden shed. They'd put a table in, and we got in there, and George Cruz came in with tears in his eyes, and Peter O'Mahony was even more quiet than usual because he's a serial killer. And we all had a few beers. We drank this entire place dry. Then they put us onto the local Kiwi beer, which was like petrol. It made superintendents look like lemonade. So we were absolutely battered, having a great time. And then George Cruz obviously pepped up with a few beers, said that when a bill came, we'll play credit card roulette. And we put all the cards in the credit card roulette. Everyone puts their card in a hat or a bag, and you get the waitress or waiter to pull them out, right? And it got down to the last two cards, and it was Joe Marler and George Cruz. And Joe Marler said, "George, you've had a tough time. let's split the bill. And Crew's like, no, my luck's going to turn. For card out, Joe Marler, George Cruz, 3,000 Kiwi dollars for meal. So that was.
Sometimes you've got to go to the bottom.
Yeah, you have, mate. Yeah, rock bottom. So I was very surprised about him. Obviously, Jamison Gibson Park. You know, he's been outstanding. He was one of the best players in the world for a period of time. Finn Russell, you know, number 10 in charge, largely in charge. Looks like he's matured his game since he's played at Bath. That nice kicking variety. James Lowe, you know, listen, he's an incredible finisher. You know, he's been absolutely unbelievable for Ireland. He's been tearing up the trees for Leinster. Hasn't necessarily had the best tour so far, but he's come off the back of injury. So I'll be interested to see how he goes. Tuipulotu, I think, wow, for someone who hasn't played a lot of rugby, Bundyaki is obviously on the bench. He's normally an Irish enforcer. It's a massive call, but I think the fact that Gary Ringrose was injured at 13, when you're picking a team, what a lot of Lions fans kind of forget is, you know, Andy Farrell's come here to win, and you normally go with sometimes a team that you're more comfortable with intangibles, and I would have thought you would have probably gone Finn Russell, Bundyaki, Ringrose, and if Mac Hansen would have played, you would have had that spine of that Irish team, very confident in defence. That got absolutely turned over with Gary Ringrose. So Tuipulotu's in there. Jones, he's been utterly unbelievable. He's been doing great things for Scotland, but fantastic carrier, scoring tries for fun. The link play between Tuipulotu and him, brilliant. There's little passes, there's small interplays, and with Finn Russell, he'll know where they are. You know, I think sometimes when Finn plays, he needs people to read him. Those guys know exactly what he's going to do. Tommy Freeman, been brilliant. There's been a couple of defensive bits when, that's why I talked about having the island spine, because a couple of times Ringrose blitzed up, Freeman held back. That can be a deciding factor when you're playing a quality team like the Wallabies. Hugo Keenan, you know, I thought he did very well in the last game. He looks comfortable. He looked like he wants to work, and so he looked dangerous. Bench, Kelleher, obviously at hooker. Porter, absolute machine. You know, he's a big physical presence. Will Stewart, big spew. Looks like Big Hero 6, Will Stewart. I was actually at Wasps with him, and he was a guy that I never necessarily earmarked to be a test player, but he's just grown at Bath, won a premiership, now looks great. Ollie Chesham, we all thought he was going to get the nod against Tyke Byrne. He can run for days. Gives you a different line-out option. Ben Earl, look, unlucky. We thought maybe he was going to get a nod at 7. Tins earmarked him as somebody that might get in the mix, but Ben Earl, impact player, carrying for fun. Mitchell played every minute of every game. I thought Ben White might have nudged him, but probably a big ask, and I think Mitchell's probably got a bit more experience now, having played all those Lions games. Marcus Smith, you know, he's obviously looking for fullback cover, looking in the backs. I thought maybe Finn Smith would have got the call, because I think Marcus Smith had a good 60 minutes I saw, but Finn Smith looks a little bit more comfortable. And Bundyaki, he's come on for Ireland a number of times, particularly when he came on recently, absolute enforcer. Cardiff, yeah. Well, you know, change the game, big physicality. So, look, I think it's a very interesting team. Having heard what I heard from the press conference with Joe Schmidt, he's very much underplaying it. He's talking about doing a full contact session on the Saturday, you know, before the game. They're going to run it. I think they look like they're trying to target the second test, is what his press conference looked like, having spoken to some of the journalists. I don't know whether it's mind games. You know, he's the master analysis, but missing those players, it now looks like maybe the first one, you know, I don't know if such a thing as a gimme, but the second test looks like where they're going to bring all the big guns out and try to really blow it away, from what I saw. But you know, what do I know?
Can we just have a round of applause for Hask?
He must be exhausted.
The most rugby he's ever spoken. Are you all right?
I'm not all right, yeah. It's Australia, I'm upside down. I'm upside down, so my brain works differently.
Break it down for us. What do you like? What are you surprised by?
Look, with Tad Bird, I just don't feel he's played well enough to be in there. But the first thing I wrote down is, let's not forget everyone in this team is still world class. Yeah. You're basically just going on how you feel about form in the games that you've seen. It's a weird one for me, because I thought Chesham would fit that role perfectly, and he's played well in all the games that he's been on. I think the back row is always going to be interesting, because there was quality all the way through. You know, same I'd say for Tom Curry. Out of all the back rows, I don't think he would fit in the best 3 in form, but we know how good he is as an English supporter. You know he's 100% reliable. He's never going to let you down, so I don't really have an issue with it. But you know, I would love to have seen Ben Earl in there. I mean, 57 carries already in the games that he's played, 257 metres or whatever. He's just a machine, and he scores tries for fun. He's a great link man with the back line. But I'm not the coach, so it means nothing.
What do you make of? I mean, you mentioned Jack Morgan as well. No, it's the first time we've had no Welsh representation in a Test team since.
Sorry, mate. There's a bloke from Cardiff came all the way with shat.
I'm sorry. We'll put you on a return flight.
He's now sobbing.
1899, first time there's not been a Welshman in a Lions Test squad. What do you make?
I'll get over it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. But
Look,
what do you make of the team they've named?
Look, Wales, obviously, it's a reflection of, like, just, I suppose, how poor they've been in the last 2 years. But, look, Jack Morgan, just to finish him off, the most hotly contested position, like, it was always going to be, again, we haven't even spoken about Josh van der Fleur, right? Like, world class, mate. When I look at this team, one of the things that stood out to me so far in the matches leading up to this has been set piece. Scrummaging, like, they have... What I think, again, even against Argentina, first 4 scrums, 4 scrum penalties. Like, you can see, like, they'll be targeting the set piece, like 100%. Surprisingly, don't have a line-out maul, like, attacking-wise. Like, I haven't seen... They did trip over themselves against Argentina. They did score 1 against Argentina, but haven't seen it since. Like, haven't seen dominance with respect to line-out mauls. Like, but I'm assuming they're going to be taking more points this weekend. But they do have a big enough pack.
But to be fair, you said that when we're doing the analysis stuff. It's actually interesting because a lot of people were talking kind of down the lines and some of the underperforming, but you've always been very staunch that the front 5, I mean, I think you quoted saying you're not sure what game people have been watching because the front 5 have been great. And actually, it's interesting when you play liner at 10, the one thing you don't want is like a guy who's got 3 caps is a scrum that's going backwards, a line-up play, because suddenly the defence is a bit bit closer. You're under pressure. You have a pack that's dominant, and you obviously flagged that pretty early on.
Mate, look, I think the true measurement too is your tight 5. Really, is their work rate. Like, it's not just like, obviously now the tight 5. It's not just about scrummaging, line-outs. It's also obviously that connection and defence. How many balls you truck up. I think the tight 5 have been sensational. Like, again, that line speed too, watching tight head props sprinting up in the 80th minute and having that connection on left and right, that's a big gauge for me. And then when you have guys like Porter, mate, like Porter's been destroying teams when he's come on. So, look, I think for the Wallabies, all we want is parity scrum time. Like, I think line-out-wise, I think in a very underestimated skill is defensive line-outs, and I think that's why they've probably not gone with Will Skilton, probably gone more with more agile players.
Just on that, I think people will ask, how close can... Obviously, they've had so much dominance through the tour games so far. There's going to be a big shift in terms of the quality of the props in the front row and what's coming this weekend. How easy is that going to be, though, for you to get parity when... I mean, their confidence will be sky high in terms of what they can take on and what they've been doing.
Mate, it's always been our kryptonite. Like, it's always been our Achilles heel, right? Like, we always had we've always had Lamborghinis and Ferraris, like, in the back line, always. And it's always been questioned for as long as I was playing back in the late 90s. Like, your forward pack, do you have Marshy gives it to me every week. Are you going to have the forward pack to be able to compete? And I think we will. Look, if we get parity... I believe we have enough class out wide. Like, if we can give them enough good ball, particularly first phase ball, and we're not giving them easy penalties to piggyback up and for territory, like, that's the big one when it comes to set piece, right? Is being able to continue that pressure, apply pressure in red zones or in their half, because you're working your ass off to get that territory gain, and then you give away shit penalties, like by a scrum, by a scrum penalty or easy line-out mauls. Like, as a forward too, you've got to take it personally as well. Like, you really got to aim up and get that. But you're not asking for them to be Supermen. You're just asking them to do their jobs. And that is to get, we always had, if we got 90% good ball, good first phase ball, we'd done our job. Like, we just our ball. We didn't even have to put pressure on their ball. It's not about putting pressure. It's just about parity. Like, that's all you're after. So,
and if you jump back to the autumn, they were good. They were good.
They were
front,
excellent, mate.
Fronted up. So.
Excellent, mate. Like, excellent. And so, and again with the Wallaby psyche as well. Like, if we can get that parity, it's only going to give our outside backs or our back line far more confidence, and particularly when you've got a young 5'8" and Tom Liner. But I think that's why you've gone Jake Gordon as well, right? Like, he's the only guy over 30 on the field.
Which is mad.
Like, it's crazy, right? Like, so, and I understand, like, I just want to see Tate McDermott, but I understand with Jake Gordon being at 9. So For me, though, in terms of phase, like I think what I've seen with the Lions in terms of their phase, their depth, their clarity, their running lines have been superb, man. Been absolutely spot on. You can tell that Irish flow, right?
Can I just ask you about Tom Liner? Because obviously we know Michael very well. He's a legend not just in Australia but in the UK as well, from what he did with Saracens, etc. Former world record points holder. He is one of the greats. There's a lot of pressure just on the name Liner, and then you throw him into a first test with, I think, half an hour of international rugby. I don't think he's played for 6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And you put him in to run a team that squeaked home against Fiji 10 days ago. Just talk to me about how you think Schmidt will have handled that, how those around him will be feeling about having a guy who's 21 with the keys to the city type thing.
Oh, look, you're definitely taking his belt and shoelaces off him, right? Like, because he's just, mate, you would have him on 24/7 watch. Like, seriously, like, he'd be shitting himself. Like, this 21-year-old man, like, and you're right, man, the expectation, very first father-son combination to ever play for the Wallabies against the Lions.
Right?
Yeah, ever. So you've got this incredible father figure, incredible legend. But what I have liked about Tom Liner this year is, look, he's known for his kicking. I think this started when he played for Australia A last year against England. Yeah. Actually, he had a phenomenal game in that game last year. When he actually, his first his first thought was to run. Like, as a 5'8", and I was very lucky, I played with Stephen Larkin for 11 years in my career, his first reaction was to run, was attack, right? Was play. What we've found with multiple 10s now over too many years is their first reaction is to kick. That's what I love about Marcus Smith, man. Like, he just wants to play. Like, and I think, but you need that balance, right? And you need that solid decision making on when to kick and when to run. But like, I just hope Tom and Jake Gordon, if he can direct the team around the field and just get around the corner, continue like this bullshit 11 pattern, like back and forth, like get around the corner, make defences work, use the extremities of the field, use all the width of the field. I think we got enough out wide, man.
I think that's what, well, we've talked about it and predicted, that's what Argentina did to the Lions, spread them wide, caused some problems, turnovers out wide as well when the Lions attacked and they weren't quite getting the balance right of who was to clear out. The last game way better. There was a 2-second gap between the carrier, 1 second gap between the carriers and the clearers, and that made a massive difference. Argentina obviously spread us wide. There was a bit of issues with the defensive reading, who was coming up, who wasn't, who was holding back. Australia posed a similar sort of threat, and you've got to think Joe Schmidt's going to be looking at that and going, this is how we're going to attack, and this is how we're going to play. So I don't believe anything that comes out of anyone's camp, because it's all mind games and all nonsense. And you'd say to Tom Liner as a player, listen, the first 2 players, just play your game. You don't have to do any more than you've done before. Just get yourself in the game. That's one of the hardest things. Is particularly as a back row player. When I used to start a game, I'd make like 3 notes, and it was, get into the game quickly, get your first carry, get your first tackle pretty early on. Because sometimes if you don't, you sit out in the backs and you follow what the team wants you to do. Often you can not touch the ball, and in the first moment it can come as a bit of a shock. He just needs to get his hands on the ball, needs to play, needs to be comfortable. Guys need to look after him, and that's how you do it.
Needs to get into his front row. Last thing he wants is his pack going backwards. No. So, on that test match, he wants to be playing on his front foot. Yeah. So he needs to fire them up and make them his best mate.
Absolutely.
What questions do the Lions ask of Liner?
I think that'll be down to Tuipulotu, and in terms of, I think they'll put pressure on him. I think they will go there early doors. They've got great wingers to use that inside-outside of 10. They've got enough trick plays to sort of try and have a go at him at the same time, and then change it up. I still think they'll try and pull Jose Sua'ali'i around at 13 with all the plays that they do out the back, and see if they can get him to jump. It's just a tag that always comes with the league, and they know that he'll try and bash people, so they'll try and make him jump and try and create that separation between the 13 and the 14. But I think he's smarter than that now. He's been around the game long enough to know when he can jump, when he can't jump. But I think they'll still try and do that. It's what you have to do at international rugby. If you feel that there is a perceived weakness, and I'm not saying Tom Liner is a weakness, but as in experience-wise, you get after him and make it a hell of a day for him. And it'll either be the making of him as well, and he could rise to the top. I was with Ronan O'Gara yesterday, and he's like, maybe it's the greatest surprise ever by bringing someone that no one's ever seen play, you know, on our side of the pond. And,
Could be.
But he could be an absolute gun. You can't. I mean, it's a massive opportunity for him. And I'm always believe that it doesn't matter about your age. You're either if you're good enough, you're old enough. So and you know, James O'Connor again was 17, 18 when he played. If you're good enough, you're old enough, and he's just got to go out there and enjoy every moment of it. And if I was his teammates around him, that's the advice I'd be giving him.
I think as a kid though, right? Like when you play, I remember when I got to play against Keith Wood. I think it was like my third or fourth test. I remember coming up from a collapsed scrum, and he stood on my hand, and I was like, "Oh, did my hand affect your boot?" Like I was that in awe of this guy. Like here he is trying to break my hand, and I just think if Tom Liner goes out there and appreciates, like this is a Lions, like, and just like rather than thinking like inwards and going the pressure, think of it as the opportunity and the occasion, like rather like in that mindset.
I was going to say, if you look at the Lions side this week, you would have picked out, if you look at this Australian side, you'd go McWright, you'd probably go Liner, and you'd go Sua'ali'i as three guys that you know would be targets. Every time they get the ball or near the ball, you have to really come alive. I remember when we used to do training sessions, you know, in my sort of latter stage of my career, I was often having to pretend to be Rich McCaw or Hooper or something. I was getting filled in every training session. I was given a bib and a crash helmet. And, you know, you can imagine that Henry Pollock's probably been McWright all these training sessions every time he's got the ball. Sua'ali'i, you know, when you've got a talisman like that in the team, every time, we used to talk about it as the lights come on. You know, as soon as you see someone like that, you would go up and go and just get him. And I think that would be very interesting. I think, again, Tom Liner, from a defensive point of view, every time he gets the ball, you want people shouting his name. You want him to feel like he's under horrific pressure, and that's how it works on both sides. And I think you target those three guys because if you can deal with a breakdown and stop the threat, you know. Jeremy said, you know, he's one of the best sevens in the world at the moment. The Lions' breakdown, apart from the last game, was a bit fragile because the clear out and the understanding. So that's a massive area. Obviously, Sua'ali'i, every time he gets the ball, you know, if he can unlock your defences, you'll be in for a long afternoon. And if Tom Liner's being hit behind the gain line, being pressured, you know, every time he gets the ball, people are shouting in his face. It's a difficult afternoon, and he would have thought that's what they were planned all week, really.
Yeah, I was just going to say Ikitau for me. I think he's one of the most important players for Australia on that field. He creates the space for everyone else, for your Tom Wrights, for your Jorgensens. He just unlocks because he's so consistent, so relentless in how he carries the ball and the physicality that he brings. You know, he's going to be thinking the exact same about Finn Russell. He's going to be licking his lips to sort of try and get into Finn Russell, and obviously Finn will be calling in his mate Sione to come and help him out. But he creates that platform that will allow sort of Tom Liner to play off and give him the easy way. I think Australia haven't used Sua'ali'i in the right way yet. Not like last November where he was such a focal point around restarts. He was a focal point around his decoy runners and stuff, but also just his quick hands and you know, catch it. One place where they could go to is the high balls. It's been a bit. No one's really asserted dominance. It's been a bit of a mess. Remember how good he
against England in
November. How good he was in that November test at Twickenham in terms of just getting off and then offloading whilst he was in the air and everything else. So I think Joe Smith will have a plan, and I just hope it turns out to be a fascinating test match.
Look, I think on that was Sua'ali'i. The thing about the game against Fiji, he was always worried, too worried about letting it go and being that duke. I think what we'll see is he'll tuck the ball under and he'll have a crack. Like his first option was always to let go. Like it was always to pass. So I feel that one of the big things Joe would have said to him, look, just put it under your arm and have a crack, mate. Like I think, and once we see him start running and start drawing in those defenders, yeah, he'll get a lot more confidence.
Okay, it's now time for our tailor-made segment, brought to you by our friends at Charles Tyrwhitt, the official formal web partner of the British and Irish Lions.
Think of it like building the ultimate British and Irish line. Instead of picking a squad, we're stitching together the best of the best.
And each week we pick one key attribute, i.e. kicking, leadership, strength, speed, and we'll make a case for which Lions legend gets the nod.
And then we will stitch it all together, and hopefully, boot by boot, bicep by bicep, we will have at the end of the series the definitive tailor-made Lion. Every Lions team needs an enforcer So today we're going to pick strength, a hard man, mentally and physically strong. We've already put Martin Johnson in as our leader, although I'm not sure, would you be happy with that, given what you were talking about earlier?
Dirty bugger.
Dirty bugger, right? You can say that from down here, but not up there.
Yeah. Wouldn't say it to his face.
No, exactly. He therefore cannot be our enforcer, but an enforcer he certainly was. So we've got some options for you, one from each nation. I'm going to go in reverse order. So first up, Iron Mike Teague. Have we got anyone from Gloucester? Gloucester faithful always travel.
He played for Gloucester.
Yeah, you both played for Gloucester.
So last time I
Did
played
you?
against him, I was 18, turned up for a second team game.
Mosley.
Mate, no, it was actually.
I played for Mosley.
Did you play for Mosley? You got sent away, and I turned up, and Jeremy Paul was. You're like, was he playing for Australia in a World Cup? Like, it was mental. It obviously, I don't know what he'd done. He'd upset the coach or something, but he was in with the full binge.
That's another show, is it? That's a different story.
That is definitely another show.
That's another show. So all goes back to Iron Mike Teague, who was christened Iron Mike by the England second row Paul Ackford at the time when Mike Tyson was world heavyweight champion. Obviously, man of the series in 1989 as well. He said the Aussies hated us. It was very bad on the pitch and off, but we were a hard team. So Iron Mike Teague is in there as an enforcer. The great JPR, who was regarded as the finest fullback on the world stage, but also embodied the Lions' physical defiance. He was
Loved a 50-yard run.
he ran in on the 99 call,
yeah.
and Phil Bennett was running the other way, and JPR ran in to get stuck
Phil
in with the
Bennett tells
forwards.
a great story about that, about where he started swinging and he found he was on top of this kid, and he found out it was the ball boy.
Yeah. Phil Bennett knocked out the ball boy. JPR went into the heat of battle. Jim Telfer, who needs no introduction to any Lions fan, but also made 34 appearances for the Lions on 2 tours, featured in 8 tests, and obviously his post-match speeches were legendary on that 1997 tour. But also after a game in Christchurch, after a win over Canterbury in 1966, he sparked fury when he accused the home side of foul play, the first time the Lions have been known to meet fire with fire. And the final one I'm going to throw into the mix is Paddy Mayne.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen Rogue Heroes?
Yeah.
So Paddy Mayne is in here as well. British Army officer, founding member of the SAS, who represented Ireland and the British and Irish Lions in 1938. He was known for his exceptional bravery during World War II, where he earned the Distinguished Service Order with 3 bars.
And the SAS still play the Paddy Mayne Cup, which
Yeah.
is a rugby match.
Is that true?
Yeah, for charity. I think we
4 hard
yeah,
bastards.
You
but-
can't have the founding member of the SAS and go who's going to be our enforcer?
Paddy
The
Mayne
guy
has
you
to
won't
be.
even see coming.
Right.
You're dead.
He has to be, because I tell you why. Because there's a big outcry when he was when he finally passed away. He should have been given the Victoria Cross. Literally could have won it twice over, and they never gave it to him. I think because he didn't respect authority. He was a poet. He was a drinker. He was an absolute nutter. And he single-handedly drove towards a machine gun nest with one guy in the back, killed all these Germans, saved all these lives, and then just drove off into sunset. He's just the baddest man on the planet, so he's got to go to him. I watched Rogue Heroes, and I went down a rabbit hole. He's now like my new poster boy hero. I've read his autobiography, everything. Yeah, so
Right.
Paddy Mayne's the boy.
Paddy Mayne?
Yeah.
Paddy Mayne?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
happy with Paddy Mayne?
Love Paddy.
Well done, Paddy Mayne.
Love Paddy.
There you go. Our enforcer is sorted. And Paddy Mayne joins Martin Johnson as the Ultimate Lions captain and Owen Farrell as the kicker. We have 3 parts down, 2 to go in our quest to build the ultimate tailor-made lion. Hask.
And thank you for sticking with us. The good people at Charles Tyrwhitt are offering GBR listeners an exclusive 20% off. We just keep giving.
Yeah, just use the code GBR20 online or in store. That's GBR20 for 20% off everything.
Don't say we don't give you anything. Big thanks to Charles Tyrwhitt, and don't forget to cast your vote for next week's pick. Head to our socials now and tell us who's going to get the nod. Final thoughts then, as we build towards Brisbane. Can I just ask each of you what you remember of days like this relative to, you played hundreds of professional games, but every so often a match comes along which is like everyone has stopped to watch. What do you remember of first tests, World Cup finals, big moments in your career? The nerves, the anticipation, the excitement.
Well, when I snapped my knee in the 2001
Stop
game.
going on about it, bro.
Hey,
No.
surely it's recovered by now.
No, I did something I'd never done before, and that was get a haircut the day before. So I never got another haircut. Like, I used to be really superstitious. Like, if I lost a game, I would change my boots. I'd wear new boots. Because I was fortunate, I left with a 72% win record, so I didn't have to change them too often. But highest ever. But anyway.
Details.
But yeah, that was like, because normally Wednesday was happy hour. Todai Kefu happy hour we used to have. So the boys would always have a bit of camaraderie on the Wednesday, Thursday was always time off, so you'd hydrate. Friday, captain's run, forwards v backs, touch. Forwards always won. Game day, Saturday.
So you took it all in your stride. Were you quite similar, or did you feel nerves on big days?
No, my nervous was excitement. It was just about getting out there. It could never come quick enough. I wanted to just go out and play, and that was my excitement. Always was just jumping around the changing rooms, dancing to the music that was on, and sort of, really enjoying that sort of time beforehand of enjoying that excitement. And you get so many different people who approach a game in so many different ways. You get some people who need that silence to themselves, thinking. You need people who they end up smashing each other, mainly forwards, headbutting walls and props, either eating or headbutting walls or grunting at each other. And everyone's got their own way, and that sort of dynamic you feed off. And by now the bonding is done, so they'll know what each person needs in that moment. But yeah, it's the greatest time, but also the worst time, because it's just a waiting game, and then you just want the kick-off. You want that first hit to happen, and then you're into the game.
Honestly, if I had to play rugby in front of one man and his dog, I would never have done it. I love the bigger the stage, the bigger the spectacle, the bigger the noise, and just to feel that super importance for that one day and go out there and play with your mates is the best feeling in the world.
Very, very special. Final thought then, what happens on Saturday? Give us a prediction.
Look, I've said for a while that I think Australia would win this first test. I felt it all along, and then looking at it, I feel that we haven't really seen the Lions in full operation. But are they going to come again? They're going to be coming against a completely different team to what they've faced so far. It will be more like, that Argentina team that they faced in that first game, and they lost that. I think this is Australia's best shot at the first game. I think the Lions win the series, but I think this will be very close. I'm obviously going to backtrack on what I said now and say the Lions will win, but I think this could be the one where Australia sneak one. And if I put down my Lions fandom and just go for the sake of rugby, I want Australia to win one. I want it to go to a decider, because that's great for the game, it's great for the Lions. So I think it'll be 2-1. But I now can't physically pick Australia to win this game, but this is their best opportunity to do it.
Okay. JP?
Yeah, I would have thought the opposite. We're underdone. It happened to us in 2001. Everyone thought it was the sea of red jerseys, the Lions, but it was purely because we're underdone. We had one game in 4 weeks. You got players that had played multiple games on tour, finished their season only sort of 6 weeks ago, after a full season. They're in their best condition and their best chance of winning. I think if Australia can come out and we can hold parity for the first 20 minutes, Fraser McWright, man of the match, well, he has to be man of the series, actually, we're a chance.
I'm going to say 2-1 to the Lions, but I think we'll see a few changes from this first side to the second side.
Cannot wait. It's worth remembering, if you're watching on back home, we're in the centre of Brisbane. So can we therefore have a cheer if you think the Wallabies are going to win this weekend?
Yeah! Yes!
Can we have a cheer if you think the Lions are going to win this weekend?
They're good, aren't they?
The Sea of Red has well and truly arrived. It's been fascinating. Thank you so much, guys. Before we finish, we just very quickly need to let you know we're going to be back on Monday from Melbourne with the reaction to the first test alongside Curtly Beale. Curtly's actually playing for the First Nations and Pacifica 15 that face the Lions on Tuesday evening in Melbourne. So really looking forward to getting his thoughts. We have still got a few tickets left if you want to get involved in that. There's a live audience show in Sydney at the Establishment on Thursday the 31st of July if you're out and you're touring. That's ahead of the third test. We've got Hask, the Lord, myself, alongside James O'Connor, if he's not picked for the decider. We shall watch and wait and see whether he's got a big role to play for those in green and gold. Check out the link for that in the episode description box. The Good, the Bad and the Rugby are off on tour with the Lock-In Live in October, 29th Warwick, 30th Birmingham, 31st Cardiff, and November the 2nd in Oxford, 3rd in Reading, 5th in Guildford. Tickets are available at myticket.co.uk, and we've got a link in the episode description box. That is it. Do get in touch with us if you fancy feedback, questions, etc. at Good Bad Rugby, or you can use the email info@goodbadrugby.com. And if you've got this far, thank you and congratulations. You must have liked the show. Leave us a review, tick the up button, or whatever it is, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our shows from here on out in Australia. Thank you as always to our great friends at Continental Tyres, the official tyre partner to England Rugby. Remember, if you're looking for an award-winning tyre that can keep up with your every move, look no further than Continental Tyres. And thank you very much indeed to Harvey Norman for having us here in Brisbane as well. Been very comfortable. You've been a brilliant crowd. Thank you. And will you finish, please, with a massive round of applause for Hask, for JP, and to Tins?
Are we allowed to take these chairs back?
You're not allowed to take the chairs. They've got to stay. We're a Folding Pocket production. Stats and facts provided by Russ Petty. And this episode was produced by AI and Tom Edwards. Thank you very much indeed again for joining us. Give yourselves a round of applause. And enjoy the rugby come Saturday. Bye for now.
You've been listening to The Good, Yay, The Bad, and The Rugby, Oof, with Alex Payne, James Haskell, and Mike Tindall. Thanks for listening.
Oh, British Shane and Samantha, will you pop on the stage? Thank you very much indeed. A round of applause from the team at Harvey Norman, ladies and gents.
We'll budge up. Sit down. Come in, fit in, mate. There's always room for a little one. Just don't tell HR.
Oh, this is quite comfortable, isn't it?
This is comfortable.
How good is this?
Thanks for having us.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here tonight. It's been a great show. Now, on behalf of the team here at Harvey Norman, I would love to gift you all a next-gen AI PC for each of you.
Stop it!
Well done, eh?
Oh, the Christmas has come early.
I love the mothership. I love the mothership.
That is unbelievable. Thank you very much indeed. That is very kind.
You don't even get a Tim Tam on your show.
Mate.
We get laptops.
Right.
That is unbelievable.
Now, these are all powered by Snapdragon. They're the latest and greatest. They're absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
They're going to change your lives.
Can you give us a lesson?
Yeah, we'll see about that.
This is
Thanks very
amazing.
much, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. That is really kind. Can we have a massive round of applause?
Thank you.
Again?
Cheers, guys.
Guys, thank you so much. That's incredible. Thank you, Katie, and thank you, Jerry. And by the way, if you want to go and get one for yourself, into the back with you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming down. It's been a real privilege and a pleasure to be with you tonight. Can you give it a huge round of applause to Tins, to JP and Hass once again?
Thank you.
And once again, enjoy all the rugby come Saturday. Thank you so much.